Chester.
Good evening, my beautiful community, my beautiful fans. For those who are just tuning in or that's new to WWJD, welcome to What Would Josh Do on cmpradio.net. It is the station. I'm going to start off with a piece that I wrote called Time, and then we'll get right into the show. Time. What time do I have to set my alarm for? What time do I have to be to work? What time do I need to pick the kids up from school? What time is dinner? What time do I need to get to bed? What time is our date? What time does the game start? What time does my plane land? What time? I've come to realize that sometimes all that scheduling of times makes us arrogant. We begin to create this crazy idea that we sometimes somehow control time. What time? What time do we really have? No one knows but God. I can tell you this, times have changed. Our children are different. Our grandchildren are different. Technology is different. Our language is different. No cap. 100. We are not the ops. Gas is not what you pump at a station anymore. Dressing nicely and openly doing good for yourself is called flexing now. We have even evolved to not having to spell out whole words anymore. W-I-A or G-I-A-W-I-M-F. God is always working in my favor. But we gotta face some hardcore facts. Yes, our children are on drugs. Yes, our children have guns. Yes, our children do lie. Yes, our children are having sex. Yes, our children are skipping school. Yes, our children are bullying and being bullied. Yes, our children have mental health issues. Yes, our children are being targeted by some police officers. Yes, our children are killing each other. Time is different. We have to teach the children in our community different. We, as the leaders of our community, must all come together to find that difference. When studying early childhood education at DCCC, I remember the professor talking about teachable moments and how you have to teach someone starting where they are because they honestly aren't where you are. Time. How much time do we really have? On average, it takes about 8,550 bricks to build a 3-bedroom home. Add to your house today and grab your bricks. Again, thank you so much. Welcome to WWJD special segment. This show tonight is dedicated to my son, Kwali Aaron Shockley, who we lost 3 years ago to suicide. It was a time in our lives, and I say ours because I have my beautiful queen here in the station. She was too shy to get on camera, but shout out to D Camp. It was a hard time for us, a very hard time, mentally, emotionally, physically. Me personally, there was days that I just honestly didn't want to be here. I didn't feel like I had enough. I didn't feel like it was something worth living for. Times have changed. God has blessed me with an unbelievable strength and an unbelievable ability to articulate words in ways that move people, that move mountains, that move communities. I love what I do. I love the people that I do it with. I want to introduce my guest here today, my co-host, Nicole Cogdell. Thank you so much for being here, Queen.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yes.
I appreciate it.
I have one of my son's best friends who has been amazing, has continuously been his best friend, even in passing. Benjamin, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, no problem, no problem.
And of course, I have the man himself, my brother, my guy, Bob Smythe. Thank you so much, bro.
Anytime, brother, anytime.
So the show is going to be geared around mental health and education. Please stay tuned because Nicole will be dropping important links into the chat. You will also be able to find them later on. Please inbox me, DM me if you have any questions after the show, if you want to talk to somebody, if you have any questions about the links, please inbox me or Nicole, and we will be sure to get back to you as soon as possible. We're going to start off with mental health in the school. Bob, I'm going to let you lead with this one. In your opinion, where are we going wrong, or what more can we do right to combat the mental health with our children in the schools?
I mean, it's a really difficult question to answer, and it's something that, I spend, and the majority of the people that I work with, we spend all our time thinking about and trying different things. I can say, first off, that piece that you read, I mean, you told me it was going to be good, but that was incredible.
Thank you, bro.
But one of the things that you hit on in there that I think was that I come to a lot, that was really true and authentic and really hits the point, is like times are different, like our kids are different, and those types of things. And I just actually had this conversation today, without getting into right, wrong, or the politics, or the different sides of the issue of closing the schools during COVID. Obviously, put that aside. Just the fact that it happened. When that happened, my biggest concern from the perspective I was coming from was I was really worried that we were going to close the schools and it was going to create this enormous achievement gap between different groups of students because they weren't in the classroom and because we weren't having school in the way that we normally do, in a way that's as effective as it can be. Because we learned, hey, it's great. We all stood up virtual learning, and that was great. That was a great thing that we did. And for some of our schools, like the one that I work in, there were schools that were basically already doing that. Where kids all had a computer and they learned almost remotely before pre-COVID. Schools like where I work at, we were not ready for that. And I give all the shout out to all my educators that were in those types of schools that made that happen on the fly during the pandemic. Figured it out. But as great as that was to do something, it wasn't as good as being in the classroom. Kids need that social piece, need that social emotional piece, need that socialization. Some kids more than others, some age groups more than others. And so I say all that to say, it's a really long way of saying one of my fears, I think, has come true, where that all happened. We came back and it was like, okay, we're back to normal now. And it's, let's just move on like it never happened.
And nothing was normal.
Right. And so you have kids today, you have an 8th grade student who's really a 5th grade student or a 6th grade student, right? Emotionally, developmentally, and borderline, academically, because they had a year, 2 years where they weren't in school, even when they came back and it was hybrid. And, even if they did manage to get the academic piece, it's that social piece, it's the emotional piece. And so, in my experience, what I'm seeing now is just a lot of socially underdeveloped kids. It's some of these kids, especially at the middle levels, it's almost like they have a elementary school's kids mentality in a preteen body, which is really scary to me, because how does that play out? They get to high school and they have a middle school mentality, and these kids are in schools where, I mean, you would know more than me, I don't know, yeah. Where the consequences are real. They're on the street where the consequences are real. And so I think the biggest thing to that to that angle, to the question of mental health with students and young people. It's addressing the fact that there's this gap in their development, and we have to realize that, we have to accept it, and we have to address it. And that may mean that we work with a 7th grader, an 8th grader, a 9th grader, a 10th grader differently than we would have in the past.
Absolutely.
They might not be there. We have to bridge that gap.
May I just answer that question
Yes.
as well? Because I, for some reason or another, I just thought that politics was going to come somehow in this conversation. But I just want to drill down a little bit. In terms of mental health, even prior to the pandemic,
Yeah, I agree.
children were definitely having some difficulties dealing with trauma, especially in cities like Chester, and I believe that you're from the William Penn School District, the Southeast Delcos, as well as the William Penns. Functional behavior assessments that can be done in school
Absolutely.
that are often not done in schools
Absolutely.
to find out students fast, slow, fast triggers, slow triggers, and some of the antecedents that would lead to that. Is some students that have diagnosis and simple things like having 504 service agreements that can be put in place to provide that level of assistance. Definitely every school has child find as well. So if you know that a child is having difficulty in any area, whether it's educationally, socially, or emotionally, if they're having difficulties with visual motor integration, occupational therapy in terms of finding gross motor skills, because sometimes sensory issues can come out as behaviors as well. So an occupational therapist who is certified in sensory motor integration can most certainly help in those areas. Students who, when you talk about the technology divide, the technology divide happened way before COVID.
Yeah, absolutely.
COVID just exacerbated that.
100%.
However, there are different programs in schools, especially for students who have individualized education plans where they can go through the SET process, the student, the environment, the technology, and the team. So when students don't have the necessary resources that they need, yes, we wanted children to be in school during COVID, but for me, I also wanted my child and children that I care about to be able to live. And until they, address some of those different barriers, it made it extremely difficult.
I agree.
But in terms of the mental health services, definitely they're there.
Yeah.
We just need to ensure that the resources and the different things get to the children and get to the different families.
I agree.
So Nicole has plenty of links and stuff with the waivers and stuff that we're going to drop into the chat. I wanted to go back a little bit to give Ben a chance to speak because, to tackle the mental health part. When that happened to us and Kweli passed away, it changed everything about me. Like things that I wouldn't even believe that it would change, down to the way I talked, my breathing, my everything, my walk. It just changed me, the way I view time. It was one of the greatest lessons that it taught me, was that we don't have time. We don't control it. We can't sit back and say, well, I'm gonna wait for this and I'm gonna wait for that. You have to act now, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to have this show and to be able to get this information out there, is because for so long it wasn't there. However, it was always there. The help was always there. These things were always set into place. They didn't just always reach all the communities. And this is why the show is so dope. This is why I love what I do. But I'm glad that we have Benjamin here, because he's my son age, and he will be able to articulate things for you young men and young women out there that's tuned in, that's listening. Benjamin, how was that process for you, going through that, and what were some of the things that you did to cope?
So what I did and what happened when I first heard Wally passed away. First, I just thought it was just unbelievable. Like, I wouldn't think that he would do something like that either, because me and him was in school every day, and we just, we had fun together. We always made jokes with each other. We always burning on somebody or anything like that. He's helping me with my schoolwork. It was just really crazy, and we played basketball together, and he always had a smile on his face. So it was just so hard. It was just so hard. I'm like me and the rest of the guys was like, we're like, huh? Like, how could this be and everything? So, when that happened, I mean, it just wasn't the same for me at all because, I was having end up not doing anything. Like I couldn't even do nothing. Like I couldn't do nothing. Like I can't even play the game right. I could barely eat. Also I had nightmares and everything coming, and having dreams of him, and I'm so excited it's like a dream. And then when I wake up, I'm sad because I'm like, dang, that's not even true. Now I wish that was here. So, so it just changed the way I did things, and you can't really always see a person. You gotta really know a person because anybody could come in a building or a job or school and have the best smile on their face and feel like nothing is wrong. But what happened is that people can really hide that. See, what I seen about Quali is that after everything happened, I seen that he kind of it's something that me and my dad talked about. It's he's something he kind of hide it. He hid the pain. He hid the pain inside his heart. It's he really wants to get it out, but he's really trying to hide it. He's fighting it. But yeah, it just changed me a lot. It changed the way I did things, and now for myself, I just see myself now as honoring him and being a leader. I know he could look down at me and say, hey, look at my best friend. He's being a leader. He's helping the community. He's helping people.
So dope.
So I think I strive to to be a leader, just like my dad. I always try to be a leader now, and I know it's hard being a leader. It's not easy because you're so used to the world. You're so used to the world pulling you in things, for example, me, sometimes I listen to a lot of Christian music now, but I used to listen to rap music. Well, I still listen to rap music, but rap
With a different
music,
perspective now.
yeah, I still kind of listen to it nowadays now, but as far as sometimes none of this stuff now, since I see myself now, some of this rapping stuff, these young rappers now, I mean the music's fire, but it doesn't even matter anymore. You gotta notice what people talk about sometimes, cause what they're talking about is most of the rappers that I used to listen to were talking about killing people, guns and suicide and all that stuff. And then while I'm hearing this, I'm like, no, this is not it.
Yeah.
And it's no, this is not it. So, I always just strive to be a leader. And like I said, the world is crazy. It's like the world is pulling you, but you're also trying to pull yourself back. You're so used to the world and you're so used to doing the stuff that you normally do. Then when something happened and you're trying to get better, it's kind of hard too because you're trying to be a leader, but you also have this stuff going on. So that's what I feel like.
I'm glad you brought up some really important points, and this is full disclosure. Again, we're just being real, and we're talking about mental health and going through that process for me. And you talked about sleeping and it being hard to sleep. And I remember when it first happened, I had got addicted to ecstasy because it would keep me up all night, and I didn't have to sleep. One of the hardest things for me to do was to have that dream and to wake up. I used to dread waking up after those dreams, to the point that I would just stay in bed that whole day trying to get that dream back, and it never comes back. It never comes back the way it was. It never comes back the way you want it to. But I remember those days. So for anybody that's battling addiction, I'm here to tell you that you could get through that too. If you're battling mental health, I'm here to tell you that you could get through that too. If you're battling depression, PTSD, anxiety, you can get through that. There is help out here, and that's what we're here for. That's what this platform is here for, to be able to give you that help, to be able to put that information out there, to be able to let the community know that we are determined to stand together. No matter how much that world tries to pull us back into that negativity, try to pull us back into the past, try to pull us back into what you used to be. Shout out to George Mink, who I have here in the station with me, one of my brothers out here. I love you, bro. Yes. We talk all the time about our change and how people don't always see where you're going. But what I've learned in my journey was that my purpose was for me. The purpose that God has given me was for me, and it wasn't for nobody else. I ran from my gift for years. I created a whole persona, a whole nother person to run away from my gift. So Benjamin, I big ups to you, bro.
Thank you.
Big ups to you for understanding that that world will continuously, in high school, in college, in life, in adulthood, it will continuously try to pull you back. So big ups to you for being strong enough to be great enough to say that I want to be a leader, I'm going to be a leader, and I'm going to continue to pull myself away from that negativity.
Exactly.
For anybody that's out there listening, that's thinking about suicide, you are worth it. You are absolutely worth it. You are beautiful in your own right. You are gifted. You are intelligent. Don't let nobody tell you that you're not. Don't let nobody tell you that you're not worth it. Don't let nobody tell you what you can do. You are incredible. God has blessed you with this incredible gift, which is called breath. And I always say that when you wake up in the morning, you are already breathing in the greatest blessing that you can have. It is up to us to go chase our purpose. What purpose are we chasing? That's what I want us to pay attention. What purpose are you chasing? And if you don't have a purpose, then you need to sit down, you need to talk to someone about a purpose and what you want to do. What are your goals? And a lot of times we hear, oh, plan 5-year goals, 10-year goals. No, plan a 2-week goal. Plan a 2-month goal. Plan a 3-month goal so you could get in a routine of completing goals before you start planning that 5-year goal. Before you start planning to buy that house, plan to lock down that job, plan to secure a vehicle, do it in the right steps, because there's steps. And this is what's so dope about the links that's going to be being dropped in and what Nicole is.
I'm dropping
So,
it now.
please check out the links. They are there. This is help on demand. This is help readily available. Me and Nicole had a conversation because I too didn't know that all these things were out here. And we were talking, and we can't complain about what we don't have until we utilize all the resources that we do have.
And it's, Josh, honestly, it is tons of resources out there, because of the fact that I'm, Team Kazim, definitely, I'm constantly, dropping different links. And, one of the greatest jewels that we have here in the city of Chester is a camp called Camp Encouragement. Camp Encouragement is ran by one of my dear friends, Pat Tripley, D. Miranda.
Yes, shout out to the queen.
Who lost her son, William Tripley, on Easter Sunday in 2004. And what she found was that it wasn't just adults that were hurting, right? It was a lot of kids that were going through a lot of loss and pain as well.
Absolutely.
So guess what? Pat is looking for children, and I dropped that link, to be able to help, right? If the children need the help and Pat needs the children, then to me, it's just the greatest combination ever. With camp encouragement, mental health is done in such a different way. They do things like paint horses. Now, who thinks about painting a horse, right? I wouldn't have never thought about painting a horse.
Like an actual horse?
Yes, actually
that's
painting
that was my question, bro. I was about to ask.
No. Long
That's
as you don't
dope,
go in
though.
the
No, I know.
They have painted horses. You know, it's children doing yoga. It's children that are experiencing mindfulness. They go to the museum. I mean, they create memory boxes, because guess what? It's losing the person, but it's also the things that you used to do with that person.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
And something that touches home for me, and because me and George have been riding on the school buses with Safe Corridors. Shout out to Safe Corridors. God willing, we'll be at the charter school in the Assistive campus starting the 17th. We're super excited about that. But Benjamin spoke about that world. I want to encourage the parents that's out there listening.
Yes.
Don't bring that world into your home. Because when you bring that nasty world into your home, your children then take that back out into the world. And then we have children on buses, in schools, disrespecting adults, having adult conversations.
Oh yeah.
That sometimes blows my mind. Parents, and I'm one of those people who are not, I don't bash parents. I'm from the generation of babies having babies. We just didn't know. We are learning. But it is time for us to continue to learn. It is time for us to stop acting like we know everything and to come get that help. If you need a parenting class, DM me, please, so I can set you in the right direction. Because it's not just enough for us to put our children in all these beautiful environments, give them all this great information, and then we send them back into a war zone. We need your help. We need your help. We need you to come out to these groups. We need you to interact with us. We need you to come out to these events. We need you to be readily available to also assist us as we assist you. I always tell people, any kids that was in my classroom, it's two things. One, I always tell them that you know now. So you can't walk away from this and say, I don't know. I don't know where to find help. You know now. It's in the chat. Also, you cannot, I repeat, you cannot continue to go back to what you just came from. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't work that way. But we need your help. We desperately need your help. And I know it's hard. I know some of you are single mothers. I know some of you are fighting through addiction. I know some of you are raising your kids the best way you know how. And that's okay, because we get that. But we are here to tell you that there is a better way. And we are here to tell you that we can help you find that better way, but we need you to want that help. And if you need help wanting that help, because that's an issue too. Sometimes we're so caught up in our own depression, our own PTSD, our own anxiety, our own issues, that sometimes it's just easier to put baby boy on that bus, put baby girl on that bus because I need time, right? I need to regroup. We need you to regroup. We need you to get it together because we need your help. It's impossible. It's impossible. We cannot continue to send our kids back into something that we're desperately praying and fighting so hard to pull them out of. We need your help. Nicole, can you please explain to some of the people about the links that you put into the chat?
Absolutely. Pretty much all of the links. One of them is a link. It's further up. It is a mental health link in terms of Delaware County, and it's all of the different services that are provided to children as well as families. If you want to look, if it's people outside of Chester and more Delaware County based. Remember when we talked about children having behavioral issues in school, right? If they have a individualized education plan, right? Or even if they don't, if they're being tested, you can ask for something called the functional behavior assessment. And the functional behavior assessment is inside of the chat as well. What do I mean by that? It's something called the fast trigger, and a fast trigger is I say something to you and it just hits real quick, and as a result, you're seeing a behavior. And then it's something a little bit slow or more subtle. If Bobby keeps on if you keep on hitting fast triggers every morning at 9 o'clock, right? You're wondering what's going on at 9 o'clock. It may be a reading class. So the behavior may be caused because Bobby is having some problems with reading, right? Maybe Bobby is having some problems with decoding, being able to break words down, or encoding, putting words back together, or reading comprehension, right? Because some people, oh, my child can read. Yes, your child is reading really well, but or are they just reading words? Are they just reading like a list of words, which is words in isolation? But then when you put it into a story, you're putting it in context. You just change the whole concept of how things are. That can cause behaviors. Some children are hypersensitive to sound. If a alarm goes off, if a chair is dragging, if they hear a screeching, any of you hear a screeching sound and it like goes through you, well, for some children who are hypersensitive to sound, it can cause behaviors. So with the functional behavior assessment, right, it can help to say exactly when is the behavior more likely to occur, where is the behavior more likely to occur, and what can we do about it? What kind of plan can we create as a result of it? Because constantly suspending Bobby is not going to help, nor is it going to take the behavior away. We need to be able to address it. Or how about if you're a auditory teacher, you talk a lot, but Bobby is a visual learner. After a while, Bobby might start drifting. How about if Bobby has this attention deficit and you have Bobby situated near a door or a window where they're distracted? Now the teacher is Bobby. Now you're causing Bobby to be triggered. So I put information in about that. Also, when you were talking about, suicide and what's needed, we have a 988 number where instead of 911, if you dial 988, you can get somebody on a telephone to have a conversation.
24/7, 365.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And that's so definitely
988.
988 is the
988.
number.
Can you drop that in the chat
Oh,
for us,
I will.
please?
Yes, I will.
988. That is so dope.
I put 988 in here, and also the suicide hotline, another suicide hotline as well. All different types of numbers. So if I'm sorry, it's one that you can text with that 988 stuff will come up. You love that? Send it right on over. What is it?
It's 741.
741. What else is it? 741. That's it. Okay, so with the text, it's 741.
And they made it so easy.
Did they-
741, 741, 741.
Okay, and I'll put that back in. Also, I put information in about camp encouragement, where families can learn about camp encouragement. Pat wants your children. Do you understand
Please.
that? Pat wants your children. She will provide services right at the Keystone Wellness Center. She wants your baby. She wants to see your babies healed. The only thing that you have to do is get in contact with Pat and Camp Encouragement, okay? She also has Jovan's Healing Center for the adults, and that is virtually, where you can Zoom right on in. The next date is October the 13th. Please hit my girl Pat Tripley up.
Is camp encouragement just for young people in Chester?
No, it's for children in Delaware County.
Oh, right.
It's to the point where she just wants to see children healed and healthy, and she will take them exactly how they are.
Fantastic.
So, Pat, we're going to take you all through Delco because this information is going to go everywhere. Again, this is why we do this. What would Josh do, right? I would take in all this information. I would utilize it. We can't complain about what we don't have until we use what we do. Nicole was gracious enough to send me so much information.
Yeah, it's in the waivers. We can't even get it.
Yeah, I'm talking about so much information that I was taken back. I was like, wow, it's out here. There is help out here. What are we doing?
And see, I wanted to send people to people that like the Pat Tripley's because I'm gonna call her tomorrow and say, how many people called you? Right?
Yeah.
Then I'm gonna call you back and say X amount of parents. I'm not gonna say names because of confidentiality, but we can't complain about things when we're not taking advantage of what we need to take.
So please share this video. Please let your friends, please let auntie know, uncle know, nephew, nieces, daughters, sons, please let them know to watch this video. Please let them know that there is vital information right here on board that they can link, click right onto. The information is here. You know now. So for anybody that's watching, anybody that's tuning in, you now have this option. You can no longer walk around and be a great complainer.
And not just that, we don't even have to continue just because I worked as a climate manager, for Toby Farms for years. Let's just stop perpetrating a fraud. Because I was in a lot of pain for a long time, right? And thank God, I didn't like the fact that a year and a half happened, but it did, and it just felt like my whole world just came to an end, and I had to address some stuff, right? Because it wasn't just other people. I had some stuff with me too, right?
Absolutely.
And I just really thank God for some real decent friends that told me to go somewhere, sit down, get off of Facebook, and go somewhere and heal. So as adults, we have to be vulnerable and say, we got some stuff,
Yes.
okay? And as a result, our children have some stuff. If your child is having some issues in school, it doesn't mean that it's the worst thing in the world. Let's address it, right? If they that your child is not reading, they're not able to decode, okay, let's address it. It's reading specialists out here that can help. It's speech and language pathologists out here that can help. And guess what, school districts, as an advocate, we're not gonna let you water down programs and individualized education plans based on what is available for you. We wanna make sure that those individualized education plans absolutely meet the needs of the students. Also, we'll drop the link for divided attention so that they know that women like myself, women like the Carol Kazims, the Jean Arnolds, even gentlemen like the Jonathan Kings, we're not just going to sit around, right, and allow watered down education to continue.
Also, I want to say to the parents, don't settle neither, right? And what I mean by that is, if a teacher calls you and say, hey, your child has an IEP, learn what that is. Figure that out. Read up on that. Be informed so you can better help your child as we help your child. It is not just enough to say, all right, my daughter has an IEP. All right, Mom, what is that? Well, I don't know. The school said it.
So when I was pretty much up until late middle school, I had a couple learning disabilities in reading and math, much just like coding, like you described. And I remember being told I had an IEP. And what I find, the conversation I have with a lot of kids is explain to them what that means, because much like myself at their age, I thought that meant that I had a learning disability. I didn't realize what it stood for. So I would tell people, just like kids will say to me, like, oh, I have an IEP, that's why I can't do it. And it's like, no, that you have a plan. Right? It's an individual education plan. That lays out how we're gonna fix it. You may have a struggle in a certain aspect of learning, but that's not what that means. That means you have a plan to address whatever your issue is. And I was the same way. When I was their age, I thought that meant there was something wrong with me. I didn't even know what it stood for. Yeah. And so that's a really important part of it.
Sometimes they're treated like that. Oh, they're just in a special education class. They don't even realize that special education is also gifted education. It's GIEPs, and if children are everybody learns different. Nobody is perfect, so why can't we have the Wilson reading method? Why can't we have the Linda Moubell reading method? Why can't we have, read out loud and different things like that's going to help students? Don't just throw a laptop and say, oh boy, everybody in the classroom has a laptop, but we want to make sure the Kurzweil and different things are in the computer so that they can have graphic organizations and it can tell them about main ideas and cause and effects and inferential thinking and different things like that. So we want quality education.
Nicole, let me ask you this. And Bob, you too. What more? How do we? Is this a college issue with teaching teachers to come into the schools? Because if they're coming into the school with that old method of teaching, then we're not getting nothing done, because we have technology is so different. And I remember we was talking about teaching our kids through TikTok instead of allowing TikTok to teach our kids. Teaching our children through Facebook instead of allowing Facebook to teach our children. We have to utilize, again, time is different. Technology is different.
But you have to be able to look at the core curriculum, and some teachers, because of their technology divide, is like, listen, I don't want to do all of this. And then it's some that, yes, I would like to. But I dropped a link for Patan with an assistive technology evaluation,
good, yeah.
because just like an IEP is individualized, the SET process is an individualized program as well. Where you would look at a student and see where they are, and then see where they specifically need to be. Yeah. So a lot of times in certain school districts, they don't even have certain programs or software even available to them.
Wow.
It's deep. So when we start talking about this disparities in education, sometimes the disparities have everything to do with resources and assistive technology and behavior specialists and mental health providers. But the only way that we bridge the gap, no, you better go.
Don't even get me started. Don't even get me started.
If there's no nurses, then how can we have 504 plans?
It's a good question.
So again, this is amazing, right? And
I think. Wait, can I say one thing to your question? I think to the college question, I think that it should be. I would love to see a requirement that if you're going to be, if you're going into education in the state of Pennsylvania, that you have to do a certain amount of time in the city of Philadelphia, the city of Chester, in schools that need educators, because I think that's where you learn the most. If you really want to be a master of this craft, that's where you're going to learn the most, and that's where you're needed the most. I think more field experience and more actual practical, because in a lot of the colleges, they're changing it now from what I understand, but you didn't get into the field until you were already at the end.
So let me ask you a question. You put a brand new college student.
I didn't say brand new.
I'm not going to say brand new, but it's just so many barriers, because in one school district it's 20 to 22 students in a classroom.
Yeah.
And then in another school district you have 40 students, in a classroom. And then you want to play with this language in terms of the least restrictive environment, and 10 of the children have one-on-ones, which makes the environment even more restrictive.
Now we're talking about 50 people.
Right. And now you're making the environment even, even more restrictive. Give the teachers the resources that they need to educate students and listen to the students.
And how many of those decisions, just that you're talking about, right? So many of these decisions are not made by teachers or students. They're made by people that set policy. And I'm not trying to vilify them. I'm just saying, to your point, a lot of these decisions are not made by the people that are actually on the front line.
But they can't have it both ways, because they'll sit up there and say the Americans with Disabilities Act, and parents, if you don't like X, Y, and Z, then you can take that particular school district to due process. But the school district has an attorney, and the parent is doing the best that they can, sometimes not even knowledgeable in terms of the specific law. So we need the advocates, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but when it comes to children with IEPs, God has truly blessed me, and I'm not going to compromise in terms of making sure that children's social, emotional, and educational needs are being met. But some of the people up the top just don't need to be there. We need people who truly, honestly care about children that are going to, and don't come with this, I'm checking out the classroom, doing a 5-minute visit. No, sit your behind in the classroom.
Teach one.
Yes.
Teach one.
Sit your butt in the
And
classroom.
how great is it? Because we're coming up on our last 15
Sorry,
minutes of the
no.
show. No, I love it. We're on fire tonight. But we actually have a student here that is currently in school. Benjamin, when it comes to teaching in the classrooms, in your opinion, what are some of the things that you see that you feel as though could change?
What I
He
feel
grabbed
like,
that mic. He was grabbing it. He been waiting to get this out.
Go ahead. So,
yeah. So what I feel like that something needs to change inside all schools and the whole the whole Delco, like the whole Delaware County and everywhere. But I think as far as like my school and the other schools at Chester's, STEM Academy, Chester High, CCSA, and also like middle schools and other schools in the county, I just think that we need to we really need to go to class, like make sure not too much security, but just make sure students get inside the class and not fool around like that, and pay attention for real, because I have a lot of I try to lead and just try to get people to class. I'm like, hey, go to class. I'm like, what you doing
Can I
out
ask you a
here?
question? I didn't mean to cut you off, but I appreciate what you're saying. You seem to have something clicked for you, where you realized that this is important. What do you think would help it click for other students? Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay.
I think it would help by clicking up for other students.
It's
Actually,
a tough question. It's
actually,
hard,
yeah,
right?
It's a tough question.
But that's
it's a
the
tough
question.
Yeah.
So I think what really needs to happen with that is
Do you think that? Let me ask you this to help you out a little bit. Is this information, the information that you heard here tonight, is it being given that way in school? Are they breaking that stuff down to you?
No, they're not. In school, we don't really have that many people like us, sharing love and sharing different things that people didn't hear before. We're in school all the time and we hear the same things. So no wonder why people don't listen, or no wonder why people don't act the way they should be acting, or my friends or associates that I know. No wonder why they're not acting the right way, because they hear the same things all the time. They always hear, or a principal yelling at school, yo, go to class. They're used to all that, and they're not scared of that no more, or different other things.
And so I hear that and I think about social psychology. And I remember the first day I walked into the social psychology class at DCCC, the professor asked everybody this question, right? He said, it was a biological father taking his biological son to school one day. It was black ice. The car flipped 7 times. Biological dad died at the scene of the crime. They rushed the biological son to the hospital. The doctor walks in and says, I can't operate on him. That's my son. How is this possible? Now, the answer to that is it was his mother. Social psychology has taught us for years that doctors are men and nurses are women. It is the same thing with this hip hop music. It is the same thing with all the negative posts that they seeing on Facebook. It is the same thing with all the negative stuff they're seeing on TikTok. It is the same thing with all the negative stuff that they're constantly hearing. And then, like Benjamin said, to go to school, to hear a teacher yelling, to hear a principal yelling, it's nothing. Man, I listen to my rap music as loud as possible, and they talking about killing the person down the street. So you yelling at me is not gonna change me. I say that to say this, parents, we need to do a better job at monitoring what our children are listening to. It is hard. It is hard because it's this gap on the school bus. It's a gap going into school. It's a gap coming back out of school, and they have all this time, and all the kids have this.
Yes.
Every child, I'm talking about, I'm on the buses and I'm seeing kids that's knee high with this. If they have access to Google, they know everything. But they know nothing. So we have to do a better job, and I know it's hard. I don't get into bashing parents.
But we have all of these different.
Exactly.
We have all of these different links that people may not have known about. I even have the Freedom School and how they start their morning off. I was a part of Freedom School one summer, and it was just amazing how they start their morning off and how the morning has so much to do with the way that the rest of your day, they call it is a part of Harambe, right? Yeah. Absolutely.
We
all
started
of that.
doing that.
So,
right, with the affirmations, the libations, you know what I mean? Freedom School is just amazing, and you'll have the opportunity. They have recognitions. So you have freedom schools. You even have divided attention, how, mindfulness helped to change a school. You have things about FBAs. You have the suicide prevention hotline. You have camp encouragement, Javon's Healing Center. And we haven't even gotten into the waivers, right?
Yep.
But there's some information right there.
Coming to an end, please share this. I don't care what other show of mine you share. This is the show that I'm asking everybody that's watching to please share. Everybody that's going to tune in later on, please share. To my son, Kwali Aaron Shockley. Son, I love you. We love you. We honor you. I will continue until the day that God calls me home to use my voice, to use my energy, to use my love, to use your memory, to use everything that you have given me, all of this beautiful energy. I will put it back into our community.
That's it.
I will put it back into the children I serve. I will put it back into the parents that I deal with. I will put it back into every relationship that I have with those children, every relationship that I have with those parents, every relationship that I have in the community. I am taking you with me. You have changed me. And at first, it felt like it was for the worse. But isn't God great that He allowed you to talk to me? He allowed you to speak to me. He allowed you to move me in ways that I couldn't even imagine. So thank you. I honor you. We love you. I know that you're looking down. You smiling. Don't talk about my bald head. I earned this graciously. Please continue to be here with us. We love you. To everybody that's tuning in, thank you so much. I hope and I pray that this segment was informational enough for you. I hope and I pray that you click those links. I hope and pray that you read them. I hope and pray that you use this information to advance us as a community as best as we can. And again, it is hard. It's hard. I'm telling you it's hard. I'm telling you right now, this change, this thing that they call change is not easy. I'm changing every day. I'm working every day. I'm just blessed enough that I have surrounded myself with help. I have surrounded myself with people that hold me accountable. I have surrounded myself with people that love me enough to say, Josh, that's not it. Josh, that's good. Don't be around no yes men. That's not going to help you. To the young men and women that's listening, that's tuned in, we love you. You are our future. You are our next politicians, doctors, lawyers, police officers, firemen, firewomen, nurses, teachers. You are next up. Take that seriously.
And can I just say this
Yes.
to Josh? I'm just hoping that people also invest in CMP and in this show.
Yes.
Because for resources to happen, right, lights have to be on, electric has to be on, time. So please invest in Josh. And also, big shout out to the Chester Panthers who do some recreational activities. I'm CP4L, so I gotta say CP4L right now, and also to my team, Kazim. But one of my technology team is definitely CMP Radio. So please invest in the station, invest in the voice, and invest in Josh, okay? Give them a call. Get on the show. Please donate, send some cash apps over, okay, people?
Please.
Send some cash apps over.
I also just put my link in there with my bio.
Did you put your cash app in there?
No, I will.
Yeah, y'all got to put some cash apps in here. Hey, did you put some cash app in there? Can y'all put some cash apps in here, please? Yeah, Miss Cogdell.
Please, and know that, I told Nicole one of the hardest things for me to do is ask for money, right? Because I know times is hard.
You want me to do it? Times is hard, but you see that this brother is doing a good job, right? He cannot thank you. Give me them hearts. Come on, y'all. Give me some love. Now, y'all got some good information here tonight, and you will continue to get some good information, but you got to invest in those who are making a difference. Let's change the narrative. Hit them cash apps.
Please, and check out my bio. It's in there. Check out the bio for any business owners or anybody that want to get their business out there. That's the bio. That's the plan. Please check it out. Know that all WWJD, Pierre tell you that this has become a full-time job. DK would tell you this. I'm constantly working. I'm constantly thinking about the show, thinking about content, thinking about who my next guest is going to be, thinking about picking the right guest. If you know anything about me, you know that I strategically pick who's going to be on the show. So anybody that you see on the show, know that they're here to give vital information. They're here to give inspiration. I love what I do. So know that everything that you give me will go right back into bringing more of this. I love you all. Thank you for tuning in. Please tune in. I have Senator John King coming on, and then I have another special guest that you'll see it in my promotional post. So please tune in next week. I'm going to keep it coming. I'm not going to stop.
Are you bringing it like that?
Yes.
They better go ahead and advertise on your show.
Yes, they better. They better. If they know what I know, if they know what we know, they better. So I love y'all. Till next time, thank you so much. Be blessed. Get educated. It's there.
Please.